Hello and welcome to Living Healed Summit. Our show is about being beyond your story, happy and free to live the life you want. And in this series, we're discussing what that means in all five aspects: emotional, physical, mental, spiritual, and sexual. And today specifically, we are talking to Reverend Bill McDonald. He is an author, an award-winning poet, international motivational speaker, artist, film advisor, a Vietnam War vet. He's been awarded the Flying Cross, the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart Medal, and 14 other air medals. I am so grateful to have him on the series because he delivers his messages by the way he lives his life. And he values love above all else. And though he has a scroll list of credentials that is not what makes him who he is, or that is not representing who he is, and he's just an amazing person. I'm excited for you to meet him. Thank you so much, Reverend Bill, for being with us on this series.
Well, namaste. Well, thank you. We were having a little chat before this started, and I realized a couple things. This is not about me, and it's not about you. The people tuning into this are coming for a message. They're coming for a personal point of focus for their own lives. And so I hope that we kind of find that ground for them to walk on, and we'll go and we'll see where this takes us.
Yeah, that's so I love that you said that. When I first watched your documentary, I was literally moved to tears. So the amount of stories you have to share, we're talking about being beyond our stories, are incredible. And I wanted to make sure right up front we let people know that you have a documentary, and when in your bio and on the page for today's interview, they can connect to you and so many of your adventures and stories. But what I love that you shared with me is that in 2020 now, you want to open up this interview differently than you've done any in the past and really get to the heart of what is beyond those stories and what is at the core and depth of them. So first of all, thank you for that.
It's okay. Yeah.
Let's start with that, getting beyond your stories. Yeah.
Let's go with this because people, I've done probably over 1,000 TV, radio, podcasts, interviews, magazines, and 90% of the time people want me to talk about the same territory I've already covered, and which is good. People haven't heard from the first, but now I'm at a point in time saying my stories are great. They inspire people. They bring people to tears. They make people laugh. They do all these different things, but being inspired doesn't necessarily change you, the watcher, the viewer, the participant in this life. So now I'm looking at ways to actualize the energy that I'm sending out. In other words, if I'm inspiring you to do something, let's get you to do something. Because I've given sermons in churches across this country and the world, actually, and you give a beautiful sermon, everybody's, love and dove, and he's preaching love and service and all that good stuff. You talk to him the next day, it's gone.
Yes.
So I'm going, we got to give them a focus, a roadmap, GPS, something so they can go down the road. For example, we were talking earlier about manifesting things in our life and visualization. And a lot of people got the basic concept, but they're missing the boat because just because you put pictures on a refrigerator wall that you want a new car and a house and a job and you're working out, here's your new body, unless there's action to follow up the dream, it's just a daydream. And I found that most people I deal with have this outlandish concept of materializing things. And then they focus what do they focus on? Material things. And I go, do you ever materialize happiness, joy, bliss, love, spirituality, tenderness, compassion? And they look at you like, well, I need a new car.
Yes.
I need a new car, man. I need a new thing. Anyway, so it's, I found that, and I've given talks at ashrams about this, and I've given talks at, I was in Arizona not too long ago. I had a workshop on love and forgiveness, and people kept interrupting. They wanted to go, well, let's talk about manifestation, manifesting things. And I go, if you want to talk about manifesting things, then you're talking to the wrong guy. I'm here to have you manifest love. And when you can visualize love in your enemy and love in the people in your family and your neighbors and everybody, the rest of the stuff is gravy. It'll come to you. You know, everybody wants to help somebody they like or love, right? If you're kind and you're compassionate, that's the greatest currency in the world. You could spend it
Yeah. Oh, no, that's so great. It reminds me, at one point, something came up about somebody wanting to manifest a Lamborghini or Ferrari, which is great. By the way, you want to manifest Lamborghini, you know, I support that. There is nothing wrong with that. We all like nice things. But it's, who are you going to be in that Lambo? Who is going to be in the passenger seat with you? What is the experience of that ride really going to encompass? Like, what does it really mean to be rich? So, you know, when you say you're not the guy for manifestation, I respectfully disagree, because there's a quality of manifesting. You're talking about the quality of the experience of manifesting that thing from a deeper level that serves yourself and all the people around you to be able to. I mean, that's what I've witnessed from your life stories, from your life experience. Now, we started to also talk about like the intuitive piece. Like, one of the things you have is I guess the trust and the courage and the clarity to really know what is it you should be doing in life right now and then later on. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Because here's what's interesting. I talked to a kid in high school who doesn't know what he wants to do. Doesn't know what to do. I've talked to kids in college. I got a grandkid in college, and she's changed her major 4 times. And she's getting ready to graduate next year. So I've talked to people in their 90s, and they're still going, I didn't figure out what I wanted to do. And I'm telling people it's not really that complicated. Find some way to love and serve, and you'll find a niche. And every job, if done to serve with love, I don't care if you're a custodian at Apple Computer. I don't care if you're a school teacher. I don't care if you're a fireman, policeman, a warrior in the military, 82nd Airborne, whatever it is. Whatever you're doing, it's noble if it's done with love to serve. And how you make that noble and how you make that loving is if you see within everyone the one that's in all of us. In other words, if you truly see the divine in all, it's all us. And when you start getting to this ability to see everything as one, and this is really a big concept for some people because they may not understand that, but if you've had any kind of meditative experience where you've gone into some kind of samadhi state or something else, and that maybe people haven't done that normally, I'm just speaking for my own behalf. But once you've experienced this oneness with everything around you, it's a reality. But when you learn to love the person that's tormented you, made your life miserable, hates you, done everything to make your life miserable, be it a boss at work or a friend that's betrayed you or whatever it is, when you can turn that to love for them, you don't have to like them. That's a different story. I always tell people, you got to love them, but you don't have to like them. You don't have to be around them, but you got to love them because they are you. And when people treat you as they do, you got a couple reactions. You can get angry and mad, get revengeful, and you can feel like a victim. Mm-hmm. Or you can just say, there goes before me one of my greatest teachers. What is it that I'm supposed to learn from this? Humility, forgiveness, love, compassion. Maybe they're pointing out something that's really buried deep in me that they see that others don't. Usually your enemy will be more truthful with your faults than your friends. Your friends go, hey, you like this? You like this coat? You like this dress? You know, oh, yeah, it looks good. Well, no, it's like me telling my wife after 50 years, yeah, it looks good, whatever you wear. You know, you don't tell the truth. But your enemy is they'll hit you. So when you can learn to love your enemy, and I'll give you a little story about that. I had a boss that was just so mean and nasty to me, and I just kept being nice back to her. She was mean, and she tried to get me. I mean, it was terrible, trying to get me fired and everything else. And I went off and worked in another department, and then she would follow up with that new boss and say things about me, and they go, what is this? And I would never file a discrimination thing against her or a harassment thing. people say, how come you don't file it? The big boss, the top boss goes, you can file, we'll do something. I go, no, let it go. So I visualized, here we go. I visualized loving light going around her and having her absorb this light and this love from me. 18 years of prayer. I left the company and I hadn't seen her in 15 years. But I was praying for it. She never knew I didn't call up and say, I'm praying for you. And I didn't play that God bless you thing and that a lot of people do when they're really mad. And it's really just, it's not sincere. But I prayed for her and I never spoke evil about her. I never spoke bad about her. And I never defended myself. Mm-hmm. It's not worth it. The truth is known. 18 years later, I go into it was a post office I was working for. I go into this post office that I used to work in, and I get a new postmaster. And when I walk in there, somebody saw me and they say, oh, Reverend Bill, new postmaster wants to talk to you. So I went in, she starts talking, and she says, I'd like you to perform the benediction at my, kind of like an inaugural thing. When you come in, they swear you in as postmaster. And she wanted me to be there for the ceremony. And I said, great. And she invited my old boss there. I hadn't seen in 18 years, right? So I'm sitting up there giving a benediction. She's sitting in the front aisle. And she had so much love for me and gave me a hug. She said, I heard about your heart attack. And, which one I've had dozens, right? But anyway, she heard about my heart attack and all this kind of stuff. And her and her husband were so overboardly kind to me. And it was so loving that it just in my mind, I'm going, yep, took 18 years. But I know in the end, it's like the ocean on a rock. It'll eventually wear that rock down. You might not see it in your lifetime. Mm-hmm. Eventually, that's going to be sand on the beach. So when you learn to love your enemy and you learn to see all this reflection of yourself, you will find the universe, the divine, people around you, everything coming to your aid, coming to help you manifest a better life. Mm. And so people, I'm not into manufacturing things, but I'm telling you through meditation, through prayers, not selfish prayers like you praying to Santa Claus, I need this, I need that, but prayers, love for other people. And by just serving and being kind, you will materialize what you need. What you want is a different thing. Mm-hmm. People got two lists they haven't figured out yet. They go to God. God, I need this. I need that. Don't do this. They need transportation to get to work, but they're praying for a Mercedes-Benz. Hey, I need a Mercedes-Benz. Well, somebody gives them a ride-share program or something, or gives them a ride to work. It all works out. You got your ride to work. It doesn't matter how it manifests, but it will. And if you truly trust the universe, and I mean this because people ask me, well, do you ever pray for anything? And I go, I don't pray for anything. I trust the universe to give me what I need. God knows what I need. I don't have to tell him, hey, I'm sick, heal me. I need money. Then that's no faith. That's really no faith. The birds don't have to get up in the morning and say a prayer to God. Let me find bird seed, let me find water. It's going to be there. So I'm the same.
How do you tune into that? I didn't mean to interrupt, but to tune into what we really, first of all, when I hear you say what we need, what I hear is what we want on a deeper level, because we want what we need. So I just wanted to kind of separate that or unify that rather. So how do you connect to that deeper level of need and the deeper hunger, which is actually what we really want? We want to be satisfied in our needs. We want to be well taken care of. We want to get beyond these stories, somebody wronged me, somebody this, because we can move on. Before everything you said, if we can have love for someone who we formerly thought was an enemy, then that just means we're beyond our own story that's holding us back from feeling lighter, from moving on to the next, to the greater, rather than staying stuck in the old and stale. So how do you connect to that depths of what you need so that you can align it with what you want, so that life is just more enjoyable in the process?
Well, I start off mornings, and I start my mornings off really early, like before 4 o'clock in the morning. But that's kind of like bewitching hour to me, like that. Just before 4, that's like golden hour for meditation. I don't know if you meditate that hour, but the universe is quiet, the physical world is quiet, your mind is quiet, and you're just raising up from the dream world. And it's a good time to connect with the divine. But when you meditate, and people go through all these techniques and stuff, and I actually teach meditation. I teach all these forms of meditations. But mine's different than everybody else, because I always add one little extra thing. I go, if you're meditating and then analyzing what you're doing, and you're trying to get some cities and some powers and astral travel, and you're looking for miracles and all that stuff, then you're missing the boat. But if you're meditating to spend time with the beloved God, it's a joy to be there. And if you get nothing in return, so be it. But when I finish my meditation, then I end it with a prayer. Bring those people to me. Let them cross my path. Let me be in their world. Let me be there if they need help. How may I serve you? Send those people into my life and those tasks into my life that I need to be aware of. There's somebody out there needing for help. Great. And it never fails. I am in the right place, the right time for somebody. But for the normal person, knowing what they need and knowing what they want is really about wisdom, and they really don't know what they need. It's like a child. He wants ice cream for breakfast, right? I mean, that's what he needs. That's what he wants, right? But that's not what he needs. He needs a little oatmeal, right? Fruit. Yeah. So, even adults are like that. They're always looking for this dessert before the dinner. So learning to discriminate between your needs and your wants. So I'll tell you, this is going to be a strange one. You're going to say, well, this is cruel. How could you use this as an example? I'm going to give you an example of somebody with terminal cancer. This guy came to me, no hints about who and what and where. But this guy came to me, and he was kind of like not a very good father at all. Had talked to his sons and daughter over 2 decades. Had talked to his ex-wives. In fact, a lot of hostility. I mean, all kinds of people mad at him. He used to be a boss at some company, and the people that used to work for him hated him. Wasn't a nice guy. He got terminal cancer, and he comes to me, Reverend Bill, pray for me. What do you want me to pray? Well, I got stage 4, I said, you know what? Sometimes that will come to you as a gift. What do you mean a gift? I said, now that you know you have a limited amount of time left on this physical world, you're going to start taking a look at your priorities. And what are your priorities? Are you going to leave without having a relationship with your children? Mm. Without making amends with your ex-wives? Without doing some good for the community? Without opening up the portals of your heart to the divine and find another space in your life, in your existence? And he wasn't happy with that answer. But he came back to me about a week later, and he'd been thinking about it. And he basically well, okay, let's talk about this. Then he finally got to the point he could talk about it. He was looking for me because he heard I was a healer and all that stuff. That's another whole issue. But 6 months expire. And it's interesting because they gave him 6 months. That's exactly how long he lived, which is another thing. You tell somebody they got 6 months, they're going to go 6 months. You tell them they got 2 years, they go 2 years. Belief is everything. So he comes back at the end of the 6 months, and at his funeral, he's got both of his kids and his ex-wives and all the people there. And they're telling me these great stories about how he helped him out and was there for the grandkids, and that they didn't realize the change was going on. He never told me he was dying.
Wow.
He didn't want sympathy. But he delved into their lives, found what they're doing, and he helped them in different ways, including listening. Even listening to them beating them up, like, hey, I haven't seen you. And he just listened. I'm sorry. And sometimes when somebody doesn't put up any fight and resistance back, it just says, I'm sorry. Most good-hearted people would stop fighting at that point. Why keep beating up somebody that's already surrendered to you, right?
Absolutely.
Well, that was what happened, and he didn't quite understand it. Because when I talked to him, he says, they stopped beating me up. They reached a point where I didn't fight back. I go, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. Anyway, so it's not a great thing. It's not like he was a super special person and he got wings and he flew off to heaven or whatever anybody wants to be. But he left with people missing him and loving him.
And that's a huge shift. And, you know, kind of what I hear you saying is, because one of the questions I was going to say is, how do you connect to a deeper trust in the universe? And there is a perspective there in that story of this individual seeing that there was you showed him a way to trust that what was happening to him was actually more beneficial for him than detrimental. And that if he used it as a gift rather than a curse, he could affect change and exit from this, you know, incarnation that would really be meaningful and benefit himself and the people he loved. And one of the reasons I'm so excited for this series is because it doesn't have to be like that. If we choose now, wherever we each are in our lives, to level to our next level of excellence, and I'm really talking an inner landscape, then the outer environment will simply reflect to us the changes on the inside. And this is like what I know is possible for each of us where we are without having to have a story that necessarily has those types of challenges. And if it does, you know, a fresh perspective on it and a new way of living. And, you know, also a new level of hope. Like off the mic before, we talked about your ability to unlock a door. And you can share about that a little bit. And then I was like, well, most of the people are not able to do that. So it's kind of like making a bridge between what our next level of excellence is now and the opportunities for things such as that. If you want to share a little bit about the door.
I was in India in an ashram and been there about 3 months, which immersed into an ashram for 3 months with no internet, basically, no newspaper, not watching news, not calling home. I mean, cell phone don't work there. I mean, it was out in the jungle. 3 months, it's like quiet time. You really have a chance to evolve and change. But there was a group of Germans there, literally from Germany. And I've been talking to them for days and days, several days prior to this event, about visualization, how they could accomplish goals and things in their life by visualizing things. And through the power of meditation, prayer, and the energy and everything, they can actually manifest these things. But it's not just daydreaming, it's really visualizing and with prejudice. In other words, with great belief and knowing, not, yeah, this should happen. No, this will happen. And that's what I tried to tell them. And I was giving them an example about my basketball trophies. Now I visualize playing against all these young guys and winning all these trophies. And they're going, yeah. All right. So then they wake up one morning, one of my last days there, and they're living in this bungalow cottage, and it has steel door jambs and a steel door, and it's got a bolt in the inside and a bolt on the outside. I mean, a bolt, you bolt it into a hole, you know, and it'll latch it. If the bolt is open a little bit, it'll hit the metal door frames and you can't close it. So there's no way in the world you could close that door and it would lock. But they closed the door and they got all their stuff inside, and it locked. It actually locked on them. And never happened in the history of the ashram ever. No way. So they came to me and they go, Bill, you know, the door locked. I said, don't worry about it. I'll visualize it opening and I'll take care of it in the morning. I gave them someplace else to sleep. And they kind of go, yeah. So I went there in the morning. I already visualized this thing opening, and the door was locked solid. But I knew it was going to open, right? I just put my fingertips on the door, and it was like a battering ram from the police, right? Opening the door, just went boom, open, right? And I looked around and go, oh, darn, nobody was here to see it, right? Okay. So then these guys come down from the temple, and they go, it's open. No, we were visualizing at the temple to open. I said, oh, really? Were you, huh? You didn't visualize me opening it? No, we did. I said, okay, great. They went inside, got something, came back out, and it locked again. The door locked. The bolt just goes, it locks. It's like somebody's inside locking it. And then I said, okay, visualize it opening. 25 minutes of these guys pounding on the door, and pretty soon now there's a crowd of about 20 people there. and they're all pounding on the door, trying to open this door, and they can't open and all that stuff. I said, well, you visualized it. Well, I said, now here's how it's done. Now watch. And I just walked to the door and I touched it with my fingertips. Bang! Lock is bolts open, door slams. And they were just all, like, what? But see, if I tell them these people, I told all those people, watch, this is going to happen. That's not, well, yeah, sure. In my mind was, I hope this happens. I'm going to be embarrassed if it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm kind of 90% sure here. No, it's like, I knew when I uttered those words were the truth. And the power of telling the truth would make that door open. There's an energy and power in truth. There's energy and power in not believing, but knowing. There's a difference between believing and knowing. Total difference. And so these guys are all ready then to listen to me about manifesting different things in their lives. And I think, now think about the power if you're trying to manifest love in your life, for your children, for your wife, for your family, for your neighborhoods, for your country. How about world peace? Think about all the people that have power in this world gathered together or individually around the world, all trying to manifest love and peace for the world. People laughed that off. Well, no, I said, no. There's some powerful people out there. It could be a lot worse than it is now.
Absolutely. And what's coming to me, so like with you opening that door, first of all, a lot of people listening may or may not connect to that as being a reality, because that could be like really steps ahead of something someone visualizes as possible. But in your life, it's actual, it happened, it's real. But what comes to me is really like what the equivalent of you being at your level, and I want to say this too, I feel that our ability to tap into that level of magic or divinity within ourselves also comes with great responsibility. So before we're going to be given the power to do things like that, just like we wouldn't give our 5-year-old control over our bank account or a retirement fund. So I just wanted to speak to that. But what would be some of the equivalents for people at different stages of that game and different levels of responsibility in their lives of doors they can unlock with their power in their lives, where they're at? The equivalent.
Okay, I had a rule. Another story. When I was a young man, and believe it or not, I was a young man 7 decades ago, and I was in Europe bumming around, and I ran out of money in Europe hitchhiking, and I had a rule that I trust God. I don't ask for anybody for food. I don't ask for anybody a place to stay. I don't ask for any help. And once I ran out of money, I gained 20 pounds. Everywhere I went, somebody had feet. I never asked. I didn't do anything crazy. It was all, I went to this one town, and it's along the Seine River on the way to Le Havre from Paris. And I was sitting on a curb, and it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm thinking, well, I'm going to give you God. I'm giving you 3 minutes. I want a place to stay, and I want a meal. That's exactly what I was saying in my mind. It's an ultimatum. You love me. I know you love me. Take care of me. And I just sat there. And, and about 45 seconds go by, a minute. And then this French school teacher, with the long black hair and everything was in black skirt, boots. She was an older lady. She was like 28 or something, right? I'm only 19. It's just, anyway, so she comes there and she starts talking French to me, and I go, she goes, starts speaking English, and says, what are you sitting here for? And I said, I'm waiting. Waiting for what? So I wasn't going to ask, right? I just said, well, I'm waiting. Well, you got a place to stay? You got food to eat? I said, I'm waiting. Well, you can't just wait here. It's never going to happen. I said, no, I'm waiting. She goes, come with me. And she takes me into this town hall meeting where they had the mayor and everybody having a meeting. And she said something in French. I don't know. But everybody turned around and looked at me. Next thing I know, I was adopted by a French sea captain's fisherman's wife or something, and their 9 children. And I stayed in town for 2 weeks, where they let me teach English at the high school. conversational English, and I got free meals and tours, and everybody took care of me. Never missed a meal. Made all kinds, but that happened every town I went to. And when I left in 2016, I went to Florida and the United Kingdom, went to England and Wales. I left my house for a 55-day journey to go talk and find people to serve and love and just give my message with nothing set up. No bookings, no nothing. And I left with $80 in my wallet and a round-trip ticket. I'm going to be gone 55 days. I came back in that 55 days. I had close to $3,000 in my wallet, and I spent $2,500 for a spiritual retreat when I was in England. And
the bells are ringing, so you know this is all great stuff.
So when you can leave knowing that everything's going to be okay. So when these people, and they get desperate, they can't make the bills, they're having trouble with the job. I know some people now that are on the edge of homelessness. I mean, on the very edge. It's a week-to-week thing. They got to start manifesting love in their hearts for themselves, number one, and the world around them. And not just, hope for opportunities, but do the work, but also believe. And if you believe God, the divine, loves you and is looking after you, and I'm really believe it to it's a knowing, you'll do it. You can manifest it. But people need to start manifesting small things. Like in high school, I used to manifest for school tests. I didn't study, I didn't read the book. God will take care of me. And I'd always pass, things would happen. But people need to manifest the basics in their life, whether it's weight loss. I'll tell you what, visualizing for weight loss works. And I've worked with people where I've had them visualize the way they want to look. And I give them a calendar. Give me a date, 6 months from now, high school reunion, whatever it is. Let's visualize that date. And I'll do this exercise, a workshop. Like you're in my workshop, I'd have you close your eyes. I have you visualizing going to this reunion. And now you've lost 15 pounds and your hair stopped falling out, you're feeling really good and pretty and everything. And you know what? And then just follow it up with some simple things. You drink water, you give them some mojo things to do. In other words, the shaman could just heal somebody. But people need incense, or they need this, or ceremony, or they need to do puja. God don't need any of that. We want to latch on to things to believe. So therefore, if I burned an incense and a candle for you and said a special prayer for you, you're going to be more receptive to all this manifestation because I just did a ceremony. I just did this thing for you. And, and I'm helping within you build this level of knowing. So in the beginning, I tell people, take the small steps, do the things, whatever it is, visualize it. It'll happen.
That's so great on many levels, because in this series, with all the speakers we have and each giving free gifts, they're actually starter opening applications for all these different areas, be it physical, mental, spiritual, emotional and sexual, so on and so forth. So like what to do is there, but you spoke about waiting so first I heard one thing. I heard that unlocking doors, like the equivalent of you unlocking that door, each of us in our lives can unlock a door, and starting with that connection of what door do we feel is locked? Do we need more money? Do we need more food? Do we need more better relationships or whatever? And unlocking those doors through trusting in divinity, God, the universe, a greater intelligence in ourselves, the powers that be in the light, and communicate there and ask for it. But when you said you were waiting, I know you also take a strong stance on taking action. So if you could speak to discerning between when is the wait time and when is the action time, that would be amazing.
Well, because I'm unique, but I don't think that other people can't learn to do this. I trust the universe so much that I always look at everything as a test. I made a rule. I did the same thing when I was traveling around Europe. I didn't ask anybody for anything. Hey, here's a hotel room. I didn't even ask. Here's something. I had hotels and places to stay. But like when I was waiting, I didn't want to violate my number one principle. I'm not a baker. The universe knows what I need. They'll take care of me. Now, for me to tell that woman, yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to buy me food, give me a place to stay, that would have been a violation of my trusting the universe. So it's a whole different rule step. But I'm telling people, you could step down from that, but knowing is different than believing. We talked about that. But also, once you set a goal and manifesting something, you also have to set an action plan in place. You can't, well, I can't, but I'm telling regular people, you need an action plan, because I've tried to help people in my workshops. I said, if you want to get a better job, you can't sit around all day long and meditate on it, and visualize it. You got to get online and find places to put an application in, and you got to go down and knock on the doors and then find out, I need this. I need to learn to use Excel. Oh, great. Then take a class. Whatever it is that you need, fill in the tools. So
is that the bridge from believing to knowing? In other words, people who just believe then and need to take action and need to really move it into manifestation, move it into the physical world. But there's certain things that we know, if we're getting a knowing that something's coming to us, then we can sit back in a sense to open and receive that.
All right, let's talk about that.
The distinction here.
Trying to pull people from 0 to 100, it's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
You pull up in increments. And in the beginning, because I worked with prisoners at the Folsom Prison. That's a chaplain there. I had to teach these guys, thou shalt not kill your cellmate. That was and I realized I'm teaching these guys stuff that any basic chaplain could teach them. It's like a university professor teaching a kindergarten. I don't want to, it sounds egotistical, but it's like there's a lot of people who could teach these people the 12 commandments. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be me, But there's people out there at a different place, at a different level, that I think that's where I need to spend my time. There's somebody for everybody.
Yes.
And I also realize that when you walk around and you think that you are the teacher, you are the master, you are the guru, you're setting yourself up for a great fail. Mm-hmm. When the master thinks that he can learn nothing from the disciple or the student, it's failed. I learned something from children, homeless people, old vets, educated people, uneducated people. I learned something from everybody. And I'm always open. That door is always open. That gate is open for information to come in. It's an exchange. This is, if you think you know it all, your cup is full. Nobody can put anything else in the cup. That's it. You've reached your limit. And if you're a teacher, so-called teacher or guru or whatever, you're not going to bring anybody up past where you're at. You can't teach them more than you got.
Well said.
Now, I've met some interesting people. In fact, I just had an experience in Arizona this year. I went to Arizona and I was given a workshop in Cottonwood. And in the workshop, some lady came from this ashram, said, Swami, whatever his name is, would like to get a couple copies of your books, like to buy them. And I go, no. I got a rule. I don't sell books to holy people. If he wants my book, how many copies do you want? Just give them to him. He says, well, he has another request too. He'd like you to come for dinner. And I said, well, I got friends here. I'm working with this stuff. She says, so she gets on the phone, comes back and says, he said, invite everybody you want. I took 3 carloads of people to the ashram, had a great meal. Anyway, gave him my book. And he gave a satsang, and he goes, Reverend Bill, he says, I'd like you to stay and give a satsang to my disciples, my people and stuff. I said, wait a minute. This is your ashram. This is your lineage. This is your teachings. And you're going to bring somebody in that's going in maybe a different direction? He says, I don't withhold the truth from my students. I go, what? He says, I'm not afraid of the truth. If they can learn from anybody or someone else other than me, more power to them.
Okay. I just want to check something.
So that's where we're at. So here we had a chance to talk, and he invited me to come back and talk. And here's a man who was not afraid of the truth. Now, we got people out there living and going to be watching this that they have their own truths. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a born-again Christian church or they're Muslim or they're Hindu or they're Catholic or whatever they are, that's their truth. Mm-hmm. And they're afraid of any other truth sliding in the shadow someplace. Maybe the sunshine will come in. Maybe somebody will have their mind changed. To me, you have to be always the student. And you have to realize that what you know today and what you think you know is the truth today is going to be different 10 years from now. It might be different tomorrow. Somebody may be watching this now, changing their mind about something. So for me to give absolute truths to people, I don't.
Yeah.
Here's what I think and feel. Here's what I know as a part of me at this point in time. But what I felt when I was in my 20s, I thought I knew a lot. I thought I really knew a lot in the 20s. Is totally different than what I knew in my 40s, 50s, 60s, and my 70s. It's evolving, and hopefully upwardly. But it's the challenge to those people out there, especially the people watching this. I'm challenging them. Open the door up. Take everything you know and just set it aside. When I was at the ashram many, many times there, but my first time there, I'm sitting around a fire about 3 o'clock in the morning along the sacred fire, and everybody's gone to bed except me and the guru. And we're sitting there, and I haven't said anything in an hour. We're just both just looking at each other. I mean, just interesting. Not a word. But all the other people there was chit-chat and questions. And, I had no questions. And finally I look at him, I said, his name was Gurnoff. I go, Gurnoff. I said, I'm in my 60s now. I says, I thought I came here with a good understanding of everything. I thought I knew everything I knew. And now after spending 3 months with you, I realize I know absolutely nothing. Yeah. And he kind of pats me on the head and he goes, Albiel, you can learn something. He says, now you've emptied the cup, I can put something in it. So, but the thing is, I still don't know anything. I'm still a perpetual student. And I don't waste a lot of time. Here's something else I'll throw out there, a little jewel. Mm-hmm. I watch people that are really into the meditation techniques. And when they get a guru or a teacher or something, it's questions about the technique. Do I hold my hands here? How do I visualize that? Well, all the technical stuff. They're so focused on doing everything by the book. And if you look at me, my posture's bad. No matter how I do it, no matter what meditation I use, beep, I'm out of here. If something happens, it's great. Because I don't analyze what's going on. I don't try to, what's happening and how does it feel? And all these questions. I just focus on loving God. And whatever happens, I don't get excited about. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've had some really super, super stuff happen. And it's like, people are like, oh my God. And I go, no, I was just like, yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
If you're not, let's say, buying in deeply to the high highs, then you're also not going to be negatively affected by the low lows. And
it's a huge truth. But people are. That's how these people get it. I'll be honest with you. If I won $1 million on a lotto ticket, I'd have to remember to tell my wife when I got home if I didn't put her someplace. Mm-hmm. But I'd eventually cash it in. But it was like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Being able to have that relaxed focus and that level of neutrality is so rich. I mean, it's really beneficial. But I mean, first of all, we're kind of coming to the conclusion of this conversation. And with that being said, I do plan on having more conversations with you, even though we have none planned, because this has been so amazing. So thank you for that. I definitely want to ask you what living healed means to you.
What does living healing me mean?
Living healed.
Living heals. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're not loving yourself, you're dead. And if you're not loving yourself, you're incapable of loving outside of yourself. Meaning you can't give it to a puppy, you can't give it to a child, you can't give it to a spouse. You're dead. There's no growth. So first, healing always has to be self-healing. And no matter what happens to us, and I don't know if you've read much about my life, but my life was, I started off, short story, these people born with a silver spoon in their mouth. I was born. My wife went into the. I mean, my mother goes into the hospital. There's a Freudian slip. I go in the. I go in there and have this birth process. I'm being born. They go in there, and my mother says, "I'm getting ready to deliver," and they go, "No, no, 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 no." She says, "No, I've had a lot of kids." No, 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 no. We got to give you an enema first. So they give her an enema, and guess what happens? I plop right into the bedpan during the process, and so my first breath of air in this world was a bunch of crap. So I start off about as humble as you could get, right? So after that, I figured, life is good. Life is good. But I've had things happen to me that people read my autobiography, and they go, "Oh my God, what a terrible thing. This is terrible." I said, "No, everything happened as it was supposed to happen. I got no animosity, no hate. I'm not a victim because I also know that everything that happened to me was in a direct relationship to my karma, to my goals, my tasks, my dharma, my purpose. These things happened so I could learn this, so I could be empathetic, whatever it was. I learned forgiveness right out of the get-go. And I think if people out there, they want to heal, they have to go inside themselves and say, number one, I love me. I'm not a victim of anyone or anything. I am in control. But I'm in control, but I've created things in the past which are taking over things now, so I might have a rocky road. And so I tell people, I said, when they come to me with all their problems and stuff, embrace your problems. You're getting rid of your karma. Embrace them. Love them. Love them. If you cancer, love your cancer. Love, you lost your job, love it. Let's go on. You'll find something better. Move on. Embrace your karma. And so I got just a couple simple rules. One, because I always hear these graduation talks. Go out there and find a job you love and all this stuff. And I go, no, 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 no. I tell people, love the job you got, whatever it is. Love it. Love who you're with. Don't go shopping around for somebody. Love who you're with, love the job you got, and love where you're at. If you can learn to love where you live, love where you work, and love who you're with, you solved it. It's when you get dissatisfied. I know too many young people that are now in their late 30s going on 40s still trying to get that job they love. Well, what do you like to do? I like to travel, and I want to do a blog. Well, great. Yeah, good luck. So it doesn't matter what you do for a living. All work is noble if done with love for the divine.
No, that is so beautiful, because what I hear you say is, even if there's an idea of what we can have next, once we get what we can have next, if we don't really have the ability to love what we have, we're not necessarily going to love what we have next.
You got it. Believe it or not, most people don't get that message out. They don't get that. But that's exactly what I'm saying. You just got to love what you got. Just keep loving.
Well, I'll be honest right now. I love what I have. I love that you're doing this interview. And besides all the other things in my life.
Think about your own life, which is a great example. Things happened, right? Whoa, wow. Whoa. You're not a victim. You've moved on to something different, perhaps even better. Certainly better for the spirit. You're finding your real self. The universe will reward you. That's a prediction. The universe is going to reward you. You'll be taken care of. Don't worry about it. And you aren't. You're moving forward. Believe it or not, I'm seeing good stuff down at the end of the road there for you. So hang in there. And you're taking all these other people with you. Now think about the good karma involved. Your little podcast things and all these things that you do, you're passing ideas out there that are like seeds. People watching them. You don't know which ones are going to grow and take root, but you gave them the seeds. You can't plow the field for them. You can't water it for them. That's their job.
That is true, thankfully.
You've given them the seeds, and thank you for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. That was so beautiful. I really appreciate that. And I feel deeply connected to what I feel called to do and stepping into it and doing it. And I really have just a greater vision, not just for myself and the people in my immediate family who I love immensely, but for many, many other people as well. So even if one person is positively affected by this series and our conversation and the other conversations, I feel blessed. So Reverend Bill, oh my gosh, thank you so much. What a pleasure. Love it. Love you. Thank you.
Okay.
And I'll just remind our beautiful listeners that even though we're at the conclusion of this series, it is really just a new beginning. It really is just a new beginning, because every death is just opportunity for the rebirth that naturally happens. We don't even have to try. So stay connected with us, stay tuned in, and we love you. Thank you.